Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week, Ken Wakui, author of the best-selling Tokyo Revengers manga, is back and he's switched magazines. Astro Royale debuts in Shonen Jump. Also, a new Jump Plus, we have a brand new girls' buddy story featuring a ninja in its first chapter we're going to discuss. That's called Machi and Oboro. And finally, it's long overdue, but we're going to catch up on all the twists and turns of the post-time skip Ranger Reject manga. Spoilers ahead for that one. All that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. This week I am joined again by the Toku to my Satsu, Gautam.
What's up, people?
All right, let's get into the big news, the new stuff. Let's talk
Astro Royale.
Let's talk Ken Wakui, Tokyo Revengers mangaka, who we discussed. His new series in Weekly Shonen Jump. This is Astro Royale. Gautam, tell me, how'd you feel about this? Give me a synopsis of your feelings on it.
To be honest, I don't really know. It was interesting. I think I found it. I liked it up until the supernatural part of the story.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I thought the main character, I actually like the main character. Gangster with a heart of gold. It's a tried and true trope, and they even mentioned that at the beginning, where like one of the characters like, how long are you going to be playing the thug with the heart of gold? And that's fine. It knows what it is, and I appreciate it. I like that the main character, even though he got named the head of the family, gave it to his brother instead, because he doesn't have confidence that he can kind of keep things running smoothly, whereas his brother is smarter than he is. So, and I like their relationship. So that I liked those parts of the story. I don't really get why, like, they were in a bathhouse in one scene, and he's like,
okay, yeah, I don't think I have that one in here.
This is skipping too far ahead. I'll just keep it concise.
We'll get there. I don't think I have those pictures in here for obvious reasons. I don't think I've ever seen less of an ass on a person.
I didn't even know. Was he an assless chap?
Like, no, like your mental image of assless. This is like less ass than that. It was kind of insane.
I really want to. I think we need to see the ass then.
I don't want to put that on a YouTube video just in case. But
that's a good point.
Watcher, listener, you can always go check out Astro Royale. It's on Manga Plus and Viz, of course. It's interesting that you say that, because I kind of have the opposite feeling.
Really?
Yeah,
How'd you feel about it?
I kind of didn't like the first half very much. I don't know. It's I think we could put a subtitle on Astro Royale, which is something that you said word for word, which was a tried and true trope, which is like
it was just trope.
This is tropes. This is the gangster with the heart of gold, his power hungry older brothers trying to run the Yakuza family. Like, isn't every Yakuza family have the like, oh, it's the oldest brother, the second oldest, trying to take power? Like, it shows up in like Kaguya-sama. Yeah, it's
and that's the case here. The brother looked pissed off that he didn't get the position, like the first brother or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like the blonde haired, the light haired kid is the nice smart one, and the other guy's his power. They're the bullet and the shield or whatever. It's like, okay, it's like trope heaven. I just I like the way, and we'll get there when we kind of flip through it here in a second. I like the way that when the meteors fell, it kind of dropped some of those tropes, in my opinion. Because what you expect from an action shonen is like, here's his power up, some evil monster shows up, he gets beaten around, and then he awakens his power and he uses it. I like the sort of flip of the trope of like, his friend is trapped. I like that he like breaks his fingers before he like activates the power. I like that everything that like...
That was cool.
I like that the town is like wrecked from these meteors, instead of just like, oh, a meteor hit one kid and everything else is fine. So like, I'm maybe kind of hopefully expecting that to come into the story more of like, everybody's got powers, the whole town got messed up, we're rebuilding, we're dealing with power stuff. So I was kind of more excited about the second half than the first half, which I thought was just absolute, trope territory, like generic stuff.
I hate to say this is still trope territory.
It is still trope territory. Yes,
someone
we
with
have
a
not truly escaped
magic
that.
arm has been done in anime a billion times.
Absolutely, this is still trope territory.
But with that said, okay, so he's in that bathhouse, completely assless.
Yeah, are you looking at it now? Because it's
no, I'm
okay.
not. I'm taking your word for it.
Okay.
But okay, what he said didn't really make a ton of sense. Okay, see, he's like, yeah, bro, I picked you because you can keep the family together. That part makes sense. But then he said, yeah, now we're on the straight and narrow. We don't do Yakuza stuff anymore. We're kind of like a soulless corporation, and I'm kind of like an old school kind of guy. That's why I can't be the leader.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you're this nice fellow, chivalrous and shit, and you take umbrage with going on the straight and narrow? You want to do illegal stuff again?
It's weird.
Like murder and drug trade? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I can't parse what he means by I'm old school. I liked how the Yakuza used to be.
Yeah, I think I cut a lot of the dad stuff out. But let's sort of go through what happens in this chapter 1 and kind of talk about it as we go through.
This is a glorified nice Yakuza, right? This is what the implication is. Yeah. It's like they don't do drugs, they don't murder people.
Yeah, and we kind of see that. We see that right at the start here, right? So this is our action main character, Hibaru Yotsurugi, only son of the Yotsurugi family boss, right? Which is another like Yakuza thing, like, oh, he has like a true son, and then all his adoptive sons who aren't real. And you think he's bad. He's like, I'm here to collect the money, and then he ends up just like pays him for the like candy or whatever that he buys, and it's like,
yeah,
you're just buying stuff. That's not protection money. It's like, oh, okay. Which I thought was kind of it's kind of a cute way to show like, oh, they aren't really doing anything.
I think that's why I like this start. I felt like even though it is tropish, I like the main character, and his brother was pretty cool too. That stuff all worked for me. Then it went shonen at the very end, and
yeah, it definitely
got too familiar for my taste.
Yeah, I like this very kind of opening scene. I feel like basically every page after the first 2 or 3 where it's like, we're in school and people are bugging me. And it's like the flashbacks are all like, oh, wow, yeah, his Yakuza dad is like super good. And like, oh, God, what is he? So anyways, yeah, we meet Terasu Yotsurugi, the 12th adopted son, the last adopted son. Their father has died. That's kind of the setup to the plot here. His last words, his dad's last words that he appointed his successor. And I'm going to forget their names and all. Hibaru. Yeah, Hibaru and Terasu. Hibaru, Terasu. All right. I'm not going to remember those in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Me neither.
So he says that like, hey, the light-haired kid was chosen. We find out later in the chapter that his dad actually chose him, which again, I think that's sort of like a nice, interesting twist for this chapter 1 at least. But yeah, and they have this weird like 2 become 1. Like, there was a season of Pokemon, the anime, where Ash goes inside his Pokemon, and that is the only thing I could think of during this. And every time they're like 2 becomes 1, 2 becomes 1. I was like, this is gonna be Ash driving his whatever Pokemon that was in that one season.
I think this might be a dream you had, Bruce. I'm not.
No, it's real. I fucking promise you it's real. It's
what are you
it's that blue furry thing. Okay, Ash inside Pokemon.
Squirtle?
No. Yeah, what is that thing? Blue Pokemon. Combine? They like combine?
This isn't something that happens generally in Pokemon. You know that, right?
No, it's not, which is why that whole like when I like heard about that season, Infinite Fusion. It's real. I swear. I can't find it. I swear to God, he combines with like, what is that?
All right. You know what? Get back to us in the comments. Let us know what.
It's real. I swear. Yeah. But anyways, this like weird 2 become 1 thing, which is like kind of wants to be, I don't know, like a theme of chapter 1, but isn't, or maybe it's a theme of the whole series. I'm not sure where that's going.
I think it's just to say that they have each other's backs and it'll come up over and over again.
Yeah, and
which is fine. It works.
Yeah, it could be like a translation thing, whatever. But it's weird that it's like, yes, I have the shield, and this guy's like, I have a bullet. Which
I guess Terasu will have like defensive powers from the meteor.
Yeah, and it's
because
like,
his wish will be like, I wish to protect my brother. It's also
costs. Like, and yeah, speaking of like tropes to end all tropes. It's like a pendant made from the strongest bullet in the world. Like, the strongest bullet in the world? From where? Where did it come from? What is the strongest bullet in the world? Can't you
I don't know. It looks
is it made
looks
of
pretty
diamonds?
good though.
It looks cool.
it looks like a pretty good bullet. Like if somebody showed me that bullet and said it was the strongest bullet in the world, I could probably
I'm
believe
like, yeah, that's got magical runes on it. And then it's like, in Terasu, a mirror pendant melted from the same bullet representing shields. Like, okay, so the bullet is strong, but it's still not as strong as fire because it can be melted.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, one thing I will say is that I like the crying faces here. They remind me of One Piece crying faces in the bottom left.
Yeah,
here.
where they're
They're
just
like ugly crying.
Ugly crying.
Yeah, I think
like
that's good.
Too.
In general, so we skipped the no ass in the bath. I thought that like from this point on, I kind of thought that it was tropey at a high level, but I thought the individual moments worked a little bit better, right? Because they're like, oh hey, the meteors are falling. It's like, oh yeah, we're all gonna make a wish, and they come and it's like, hey, everyone's making a wish, but also the meteors are like destroying the town around them. Like, oh okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and then it's like, yeah, Terasu gets trapped under the building. I thought this was a nice
that
little...
that was unique. That looked nice.
Yeah, good little artistic page. Although I will say, when we get to the end, my big complaint here is that I really do not like Ken Bakui's art in general, and I'll talk about why. But yeah, but like this is a well composited page. Here he like, punches his hand into nothing. And then, okay, he does the help me dad thing. Imagine having the strongest fist in the world. Okay, all I could think of here was, what was that boxing manga from last year that was awful?
World War II boxer manga. Yeah, I know what you're
that
talking
thing where there was a lot of like punch right through your, like, use your heart to punch right through everything. And this is very same of like, the strongest fist, power, like gunpowder ignites my arms. All I could think about was like, this is just
cool
like, it's do retry. That's what it's called.
I'm about it.
It's very shonen tropey. It's very shonen tropey of like.
I'm here for the punch real hard. I'm cool with that. I love Gurren Lagann. They do the same shit there. So I'm here for the big punches. It's just that I liked more of the character stuff. And I thought that was the interesting part of Tokyo Revengers. So the supernatural stuff is like more tropey to me somehow, if that makes sense. In my brain, just because I've seen it a million times before.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it is still at a high level, not dodging any tropes. This is just a tropey action shonen. I think this will probably stick around just based on name recognition.
But it's I don't know. There's something to be said of it wearing it on its sleeve, that it knows that, hey, these are established tropes. I'm not recreating the wheel or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like who's the spiky haired protagonist guy? Where Mashima, right? The author. Where everything Mashima does is just exactly. He's the exact same protagonist. Fairy Tail. And what was the new one that came out? The Demon School, Devil School, whatever.
Dead Rock or something.
Yeah, Dead Rock. Yeah, like those three, it's like, that's the exact same protagonist. Even more so than this, where it's sort of like, these are tropes, we're wearing them on our sleeves, that's what we're doing. This one felt like it kind of was maybe trying to do stuff a little different. But it is still just full of tropes. But like my punch is my fist is a bullet. Like, and I really like these two pages here. I think the composition's great. I think the art's good in them. But yeah, and then just like he knocks the building away. It's good. We have a sort of magic arm with the rune power. This is very Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda arm, by the way. Like I can't imagine Ken Wakui didn't see or play that series and think like, that's cool, I'll copy that, but a little worse.
Yeah, that does look cool. It is Tears of... It's a classic cursed arm fantasy story.
That's true. Yeah.
Like Devil May Cry Nero's arm. I don't know. I also... I don't know. I feel weird about Yakuza settings where, like this one, where they are played as just the ultimate, like, what is the alignment chart? It's just like pure good or whatever.
The
reason
lawful
I was
good.
like, yeah, I was lawful good. I was like, the reason I was stun locked on him saying he's like old school Yakuza mindset. It's like old school Yakuza mindset. It's like murder and drug trade and like terrible
prostitution
stuff.
And
it's like, but these guys are like virtuous and good people, seemingly, including the dad. So I I don't know.
This
I
is
feel like that's more fantasy than him getting the magic arm.
Yeah, it's very interesting you hit on that. I don't have the full story or the full cultural context, but I know that in Japan it's kind of like an issue, or it's a thing that happens where Yakuza try to paint themselves as like, oh, the government and your family aren't going to take care of you. We're going to take care of our areas. And they try to paint themselves as like, we're the good guys. And that, like, a lot of people in Japan, I think, buy into that, where it's like, oh yeah, if someone steals from me or whatever, I can, tell the boys down the street at the club and they'll help me out. And you see a lot of that rolling over into media. Right.
Right.
I don't remember the last time I read a Yakuza story where like the Yakuza were like only the bad guys. Like they're bad and they do bad things. Like they're almost always painted as like honorable thieves, or sort of like, well, we do bad stuff, but we protect the little guy, or in this one where they're just all lawful good, basically. So
yeah, that's I take a little umbrage with that, because it's like,
for sure, yeah.
Why are they
the Japanese government does too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I think I would like this more if they painted, and we didn't see the brothers. The brothers seem sketchy, right?
I think they'll be the bad guys, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like it's just funny watching the main character's disposition on the Yakuza, because he paints it in a light where he's like protecting the peace at all times, and it's like, we used to be able to do it better, but now we had to go legit, and that's it's like, I'm stun locked on one line. That's the truth of the matter, yeah. But it feels like that, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Anyways, we get to the very end here. This is, I think, maybe something that I liked a lot more, is that usually in a chapter 1, it's sort of like the main character is opened up to a wider, different world, right? They like learn about something. Thinking of like My Hero Academia, right? It's like, end of chapter 1, it's like we know that the world is different, and Deku is like, you're getting a power now, the world is opened up to you. In this one, instead of just the world being opened up to you, it's like, no, we like wrecked Tokyo. Like Tokyo is fucking destroyed, which I think that's going for it a lot more. I like that. I like that it wasn't just like, you have a superpower and one building fell on your friend and you fought off one bad guy. It's like, no, this looks like everything is messed up and everything actually maybe is going to be different. I like that sort of massive shake up the status quo. I hope that it's followed through in a good way.
The MC needs to take revenge.
Yeah, in Tokyo,
like a
Tokyo Revenger. Okay. Yeah, and we're seeing we're also seeing a bunch of other people with like different kind of powers manifest, like weird arm stuff, foot stuff, head, brain stuff. So this guy down here in the bottom of the page on the right just has the Buster Sword for some reason.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, but
or even Guts' sword.
Yeah, or the
just a giant hunk
Guts
of metal.
Sword. Yeah.
The one guy just turned into smoke while he was drinking booze.
Yeah, smoke booze guy on the top left looks like the brother, but isn't, I don't think, unless that's a preview of a later chapter.
No, it's not. It's
just yeah.
It's just a dude. It's one of the adopted brothers.
I think a couple of these are some of the adopted brothers, but yeah. This guy just has flashlight. You see this? Okay, now that I'm looking at these, this guy just has flashlight eyes over here on the right side, down one. He's just flashlight eyes.
I love that. That's awesome.
This guy got like stretchy Luffy powers. This guy can lift giant rocks. This guy's like flashlight eyes.
What are these people wishing for, bro?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm gonna be like, what? Like, I get like, I wish to be a strong Yakuza. Okay, my punch is strong, but like, what do you have to wish for to get flashlight eyes? Or like,
I wish I could see through crime.
Yeah, I wish expose crime in my area. I don't. Yeah, like, why are none of the the truth is, most of these people should just be getting like windfalls of money. Like, how does everyone not just wish for 20 billion yen or whatever? So
their arm turns into just cash.
Yeah. I'll bring it up because I brought it up a little bit earlier. My big issue with Ken Wakui is I do not like his art very much. I think it is really flat. He does not do any shadowing or shading on his characters, which I do not like. Like, you'll notice most artists, I don't even say nowadays, most artists, when you've got like a chin, it puts like a shadow under the chin, right? Because that's in real life, most light comes from above if you're outside or in a room. And there's kind of a shadow under a chin. There'll be shadows, from hair falling on faces and stuff like that. Ken Wakui just does not draw shadows. And he's kind of primarily just uses black and white. He's not really into using grays on his characters. Like, the two main characters are composed entirely of black and white, like not without any of those sort of middle tones.
For what it's worth, they are going to a funeral.
Well, yeah, true, but I mean, if you look at like every other character, there's not a character
No,
who's like,
I
oh,
do
they
see
have
your
like a
point.
medium hair, or like they have or wearing a gray shirt. It's like everyone is just in black and white. There's no shading. It feels very flat to me.
No,
Um,
that yeah,
so I do not.
I see what you mean.
I think his composition is great, is fine. I think his action stuff was good in this chapter one, even though it wasn't really good. I still think there's good pages. The weird thing is, whenever he does use grays, like here in this spread and the one after it, I think it actually looks really good. I just like it a lot more. Like here, where there's just more sort of tonal, more gray tones in there. It just like
Yeah.
looks better. And then he goes back and it's like, okay, we're back to black and white. Like this one, right? Like even just the fact that he's got like scuffs that are kind of in a gray by using these black lines, right? Even that just adds like tons of depth to his art that is just not present for 90% of the chapter. So that's kind of my big issue, is that his art just does not work for me at all. I do not like it.
I think
yeah.
that's fair. That's a fair criticism.
Yeah, that's a taste thing for me. If you like it, you like it. I tend to prefer. I need chin shadows. That's just like, that's all I need. I need chin shadows, man. Light comes from the sun. It casts shadow on chins. You got to give me chin shadows.
No, I agree. Our art's not the strong suit here.
Yeah,
and I think it wasn't in Revengers either. It was the incredibly unique story. But this doesn't have a unique story really yet.
Yeah,
but it could. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
that's why I said at the beginning I don't know how I feel, because I just don't feel like I have enough to form an opinion.
It's also one of those chapter ones where it isn't showing us what the rest of the series is going to be. It's introducing us to a normal world, and at the end of it, everything has changed. So we don't really know what the rest of the story of Astro Royale is going to be.
Right.
Which means that, yeah, I do think we need probably chapter 2, chapter 3, or, the first volume to really figure out what is this going to be like. Is it going to be, Yakuza Fight of the Week, weird, monster person of the week? Are they trying to help rebuild Tokyo? Is it, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to find out. I do think this was,
well,
as far as
if this follows tropes, I think it'll be the Yakuza, it's time to shine. Let's reclaim Tokyo. This is our new paradise now that it's destroyed and the structure is gone.
Yeah, good call.
That's probably what it's going to be, but I hope it's not. I hope it pivot, or it turns what I think will happen on its head a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, is this space alien technology? Is this future time travel technology? Yeah, it looks like aliens, but so then it's like, do the aliens come into it? I'm wondering if this is going to be like, oh, is this like, bad guy of the week / arc? Like, here's a new guy who's out of control, or like, a selfish person got a power and they're trying to rob everybody. We'll stop him because we're good. Like, I don't know. It could range anywhere between like, we're just stopping bad guys who have powers with our powers, and we're the good Yakuza boys, or I think that family drama obviously enters into at some point. The space aliens enter into at some point. I don't know. So
I do appreciate that, like, everyone who got powers made a wish on a meteor, so it's like it's not like there are people with powers and people without, and it was like a one-time thing.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of them, but they are like
it's like an unknowable amount,
easily identifiable.
Saw things.
Yeah, and you can easily just make up new ones for new plot points, and
exactly.
Yeah, a very open-ended type of power thing there. Cool.
Final thought: Does this spark interest to read chapter 2? Does this spark joy?
I will read a couple of chapters of this. In general, generic action shonens like this, I do not like. Even the good ones do not interest me, right? Demon Slayer sold millions of copies. I watched the first season of the anime. I have no interest to go back and read it. That is a generic tropey action shonen. So unless this does something really interesting in, the first 6 or 7 chapters, probably not a daily reader for me, much past that, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm just not interested. But
it could do something in chapter 2 where I'm like, exactly. That's cool and interesting. But
it could vary. This author is weird, so this could very easily change my mind. I'll keep reading. Who knows?
Yeah.
It might catch my interest.
I mean, if they introduce something that, you know, is like, oh, that's really weird and different, and that has a lot of cool possibilities, or, you know, if there's some good character stuff in the next, you know, 4 or 5 chapters, then yeah, maybe I'm in.
Yeah, we'll
Nothing
see.
in chapter 1 convinced me that this is going to be anything other than like sort of a generic action battle shonen, right? Which
I agree.
I am too old to really enjoy those anymore, unless they are doing something really different or really special, which this didn't. Like I said, the
And
art
to
didn't grab
clarify
me.
to our
Yeah.
listeners, it's not like we're too old because we're too mature or too cool for it. It's just that we've seen it. We're
Yeah.
old enough that we've seen it so much over and over again.
It's I
that
know it's
not new to
predictable.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's predictable. Exactly.
Yeah, you and not necessarily that you have to do something new, but if you're going to be sort of straight across the path predictable, you have to be like for instance, I read Fire Force, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and that was pretty much a typical battle shonen, I would say, but the art direction, the art style, the battle, like all of the visual elements in Fire Force were absolutely amazing. And the fact that he was exceptional at that one part meant that, okay, yeah, it's a generic action, you know, battle shonen or whatever, but all of the design, visual elements, all of the character design, because that was so good, I could stick with
generic.
it. It is, but
in the
he's
same way-
better at character stuff. He's better at characters writing and character stuff, and the visual design elements are exceptional. So it's like it does follow the same thing of like, here's the group of bad guys, and now we're fighting this bad guy of the week, and he tells us this information that leads us to the next guy. Like it does
I don't
just
know.
kind of do that.
In my eyes, it's like it's not generic in the same way Soul Eater is not generic. If you don't have standard characters, it's instantly not generic for me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough to say because you're definitely right. The characters in from Okubo in Soul Eater and Fire Force are better than than Naruto or Bleach or whatever. So yeah.
Either way, let's move on to something we're more interested in.
Yeah, this was a new Jump Plus series that came. This is by an author called Yura Ishito. This is called Machi and Oboro. This is a sort of buddy cop dynamic, high school girls. One girl's a ninja, the other one's kind of the straight-laced, I'm trying to be a doctor. And it was really good. I'll start with my thoughts first on this one.
Is she straight-laced?
Well, she is, but that's why it's funnier when she breaks. But yeah, I really like this. This was really good. And that's like the last couple of Jump Plus things we've gotten have been like, that have premiered alongside something in Weekly Shonen Jump. I've been like, well, the Weekly Shonen Jump thing is whatever. And the Jump Plus thing is awesome. Like we got Centuria 2 weeks ago, which was awesome. Machi and Oboro, I think, is really good. I would mention this earlier when we were chatting offline, but this is essentially just Fujiwara and Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War. But Fujiwara is a ninja. Like if you like that dynamic, if you've read or seen that series and that's the dynamic that interests you, of that sort of like serious, smart, straight-laced Kaguya type girl, and then the kind of wild, no holds barred, crazy kind of Fujiwara girl. That's essentially what this is. I like this a lot. The character writing was good, especially for like the girl, the sort of bad guy girl in this chapter, but also for the lead girl. I'm excited to read more of it because I thought the character stuff was so good. It was weird and goofy. I don't know. Everything about this hit for me. So how'd you feel, Gautam?
I think I like this better than any Shonen Jump first chapter I can remember at all.
Really? Any of them? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe like putting aside the One Pieces and
recent memory, yeah, like the last 2 or 3 years of chapter
like the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
It was really good, and the ninja is like a less weird Fujiwara. I liked her, but the main character is the real reason. The black-haired girl is the main reason I like this chapter. She is a lot like Kaguya in that she is incredibly petty and overly competitive, and that shines through in every way in this chapter. Where they make her kind of just like mid-game Kaguya, kind of an idiot who is a genius at the same time, and it comes through both ways, and I love that.
Yeah.
If you scroll through, like I think it's captured best when she's talking to her dad, who wants her to go to like Tokyo U for the pettiest reasons because they make fun of him for being a country guy, and he's had it up to here. And she completely agrees with him. And she's like, yeah, count me in. Let's fucking do it. I'm going to show these fucking city slickers what's
she's
up.
like, I'm also fed up with these people. Like, count me in. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Their motivations are so incredibly petty, and I love it. And she's a huge dork. She's just she's a huge dork and kind of just insane as a human being. And I love that.
This page on the right, I think, shows it really well, where she shows up at her new city school and introduces herself, and she's like, oh, wow. They're all like, oh, Miyagi, that's out in the country. That's way far away. And she's like, you think I'm all just some plain Jane from the sticks, don't you? Back home, I'm Machi Nishina, the unbeatable honor student.
Like nobody's
wait to blow
that.
You city folk away with my test scores. Like,
Nobody's even thinking that, but she's like writing a fanfic about what people are perceiving her as. I love that.
The little Chunibyo throwback. And we get Oboro Kasumi. This is the ninja girl who I like her a lot. And she's a lot of the driving force in the sort of first half of the chapter. When we talk about character stuff, like pro-tagging, being a pro-tag, going out and taking action is a big one. And I love that Oboro just like does stuff. She just like follows Machi home, tells her she's going to live with her, sleeps in her place. Like, it's just like the fact that a character goes out and just does stuff is really endearing to me. I really like that because passive characters are much less interesting. So
it worked.
Yeah, here we go. Like, and I love the way it goes down also, where she's like, oh, you live over here? She's like, no way, I live over here too. She's like, this is my place. Like, no way, this is my building too. Like, it's my floor. It's my floor too.
That's
she's
one
like, this
way
is
to,
my door. She's like, no way.
That's one way to ask to move in, right? Like, you just invite yourself in.
Yeah, it's a real. It's just a really funny 2 pages of like you realizing that she's just gonna like have like implant herself in Machi's life as a roommate, etc. So
and I love at one point the ninja's like, wow, you are like quite nice, and she's like, you just now found that out. I love it because by no means is our main character nice, but it's like one of these secret things where it's like, oh, I secretly have a soft spot for people, right?
Yeah.
But the main character is fully aware that she is doing a kindness to this homeless ninja.
Yeah, for sure.
I love she's not humble about it whatsoever. I love it.
It's also like this felt to me like a very Fujiwara moment from Kagui-sama, where it's like, the Oboro is like, that was close. I almost spilled the beans about being a ninja. She's like, a ninja? It's like, huh? What? Did I say something like that? It's like, you're a ninja? It's like, of course not. What's a ninja? It's like, anyway, it's just a girl with no money. It's I don't know. It's very funny.
I think that my favorite part about her being a ninja is that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, except
seemingly it does. It has such little impact on the first chapter of the actions of the first chapter. I just love that it's just a thing about her and not a defining thing about her, you know?
It isn't, her personality is not that of a ninja. That's her profession, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just what she does. It isn't really, She was enacting she does like sneaky stuff, like underhanded stuff in the chapter, but she isn't the typical, quiet, I'm just going to stalk and think about it. She's an airhead. She's friendly. She wants to help her friends out.
She could have been an accountant, and like the plot beats of this chapter would have progressed the same way.
Yeah, or she could have been like a witch, and the plot beats would have been the same. Or like she could have been from the future, and the plot beats with advanced technology, and the plot beats would have been the same. So her ninja-ness does not define the actions she takes.
Yeah, it didn't really come into play either. Like the main character handled her problems on her own, pretty much.
Yeah, mostly.
And the ninja's help was just being a supportive friend. And that was
and like changing her voice and
yeah, exactly.
Again, because this reminds me a little bit of God. What was that? There was like that. There was like a vampire roommate series that came out a couple months ago. That was like okay.
I remember. That was pretty good.
Pretty good, but not great. I kind of fell off it. This already, just in these, like, there's a couple of pages of them just like, quote unquote, like living together. And they're just like, they're hilarious. Like, these are my favorites. Like, she's sleeping on the ceiling and screaming. She's like digging a hole in the wall. It's like a ninja mansion. It's like a hole. She like kicks her out and she just like jumps up the balconies and comes back in. And she's like, from the balcony. Yeah, I like
I
all
like
the
it a
stuff
lot.
of them interacting with each other. I thought was good and funny. This is one of my favorite
This is my
pages because
favorite
it's
panels.
no, me
Yeah,
too.
this is
Because
my
it's like
favorite
this
panel.
smug look is so perfect
It's so
for
smug.
Machi here.
Yeah. I love that. I think I just love the main character. She's
Yeah,
great. Uh, like I would say also unique, even though I understand the character archetype.
yeah.
At
It's
least it
not
feels
a.
that way.
There's yeah. She has a character archetype, but she's also um complex and deep more
Yeah,
than the archetype that she is, right? Because she's supposed to be the sort of like, oh, I'm the smartest and I know I'm the smartest and I'm smarter than everyone. But there's also the depth of like, well, her dad has this social pressure that she also feels about, being from the country or the city. And she's also a nice person on the inside. In the same kind of depth that someone like Kaguya had, I think is, again, why I'm making that comparison a lot. But
yeah. She's like judgmental, delusional, but also logical and rational at the same time.
right, yeah.
And I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just a very well fleshed out, complex character in chapter one, which is again why I think that you and I both liked this so much. Is that it's good writing, it's good character stuff, and that really grabs us. So, yeah, these 2 pages were great because she's like they never stood a chance. She has the confidence. They're complimenting her, and she has a funny face on. And we get kind of our first adversary. Where the sort of former class number one is like starts spreading rumors about her, that she may have cheated, blah blah blah. We get a
I love that face. It's just fucking cold.
miss second in class. Yeah, which again, this is like, yeah. I mean, I just can't stop making the comparison. It reminds me of Kaguya when she goes like, she's ice princess, she's cold, she's if she's protecting Miyuki or whoever, it's like she's be afraid
Yeah,
of her.
her eyes
She's
go
serious
black.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we get like a really good flashback of like informing us why the bad guy is like, doing it. And also for stuff with Machi here. Um, again, this kind of, an unhinged, like in my efforts to end the worthless life of the one who framed me, I may very well drag my own life down with theirs. So it's like, oh,
It's
I
just
could, she's like, I could end them. I could bring their entire life to an end for them, accusing me of cheating. But if I did that, it might also ruin me.
it truly is an aspirational level of pettiness. I love it.
Yeah. This is the one sort of like, well, she probably couldn't do this. She wasn't a ninja. But they essentially framed the second place girl by like, I think imitating her brother or a friend from school. I don't remember whose voice she like imitates her here, but the faces in this are great for comedic effect. The face of the second place girl here on the left side is amazing. And they basically just like
Yeah.
they frame her, and then she tries to kill herself with like with a razor blade, and it's just like again, and it's like a really good action spread here, like in the middle of this quaint, cozy little comedy thing, where they Oboro kicks the thing away.
And I love instead of a motivational speech, she's like, okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna shut the fuck up and stop pitying yourself, and then you're gonna apologize to me, and then you're gonna clear my name.
She isn't like, no, don't kill yourself. Your life is worth it. She's like, don't kill yourself. You need to tell everyone you were lying and fix this. Like you can't, you can't kill
apologize.
yourself.
Yeah,
He's like, you can't. Yeah, you can't kill yourself because you have to fix this first. Like after you're done, I don't care.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's super good. Yeah, and there's just a little bit. That's basically the end of the chapter, finishing up. But yeah, I mean, this is great. I don't know. This is exactly the kind of shit that I love. So,
I'm actually pretty happy by this. We got this, and we got Ghost Chasers, which I also loved.
Yeah, just like through. Yeah, chapter 4 of that dropped yesterday, I think. So yeah.
we got some strong ones in Jump Plus.
Jump Plus is like killing it. They had a stint there where stuff like God was it like the Game Master. Do you remember that one? That one was bad.
Oh, Game Devil, yeah.
Game Devil, yeah. That I am surprised that has made it as far as it's made it. They had a stint there where it was sort of like these aren't very good, and I feel like almost everything they've released in the past like 3 or 4 months has been like pretty good. Like
they've been hitting. They've been hitting. I think
Jump
like
Plus is great. Yeah,
these are better than. I feel like Ghost Chasers and this is better than most of the new stuff they've been bringing on to Jump proper.
Yeah, Jump. I think this is what's his name. It's that editor, Shihei Lin, right? Is his name? That's the guy who like found Fujimoto and found the Spy Family guy, and like, yeah, let me
And the Dandadan and
Dandadan, yeah. So he's the guy who is like running Jump Plus now. I think he's like editor in chief or lead editor or something like that. So I'm pretty sure that dude's touch is that he just. I won't necessarily say that he just knows what's good, but his tastes line up with you and I pretty closely. Like everything
I think we
guy
can just say he knows what's good.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah,
according to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there'll be some stuff in there that isn't for us or isn't for everybody, and maybe this isn't for some of our listeners or watchers, but yeah, everything that Shihei Lin touches, including like now all of Jump Plus, I think is excellent. Like Jump Plus is absolutely killing it. I would tell someone to go to Manga Plus and read the sort of combo of Weekly Shonen Jump and Jump Plus, and not just go to Viz and read only the Jump Plus or only the Weekly Shonen Jump stuff.
The Weekly, yeah.
Because you're going to find more. It's a more diverse. It's more specific. It's also just like higher quality in general. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's because people are way more willing to get weird with it.
Yeah, it's that. It's also, I mean, if we're looking at like page count, like page 1 of Astro Royale, I think it was like 43 pages, something like that total. The chapter 1 of this is like 73 pages.
Yeah,
and having a longer chapter 1 gives you more time to do stuff, and you can do that digital, right? And you maybe can, but you really kind of can't in a magazine. They're generally limited by that.
Right.
I mean, in Centuria also, right? The Centuria chapter one we talked about last week, I think that was like 80 chapters or whatever. Yeah. Like, and that tells, as like a 3-act play, basically. Anyways, yeah. Jump Plus rocks. Machi and Oboro. This is awesome. Definitely going to be reading this week to week. Has a nice, simple, straightforward name. I don't know. It's great. Good dynamics, good characters. Like everything about it.
It's a fun spin on a slice of life. So yeah, go check it out. You'll like it.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, I'll go over here. So anyone who's interested in Ranger Reject and maybe just started watching the anime, which is premiering now, we're going to talk about the last 9 weeks, which is there was a big time skip, and we are in sort of a new era, lots of new stuff happening. We're going to talk about everything post time skip. So big spoiler warning.
Do you think we have to start calling this Go-Go Loser Ranger, or people won't know what we're talking about?
I guess probably, yes. This is Go-Go Loser Ranger by Negi Haruba. We're talking about chapters, I think it's like 135 to 136 to 145, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a bit. They had a huge climactic arc and then a time skip. And honestly, we just read the latest chapter and we were talking about it together, and we're like, damn, there's just a ton of cool stuff, but we'll keep it concise. So
yeah, well, I grabbed a lot of pictures, but there's usually just 1 or 2 little pieces of information I'll have to talk about. We're going to assume that you're caught up or mostly caught up, and you want to hear this discussion. If you're not, this may be confusing, but again, we're just going to go through it. It's super interesting stuff. This is the first page immediately after the time skip. We get info about the first name drop of the Neo Rangers, which is the group run by Hibiki. A bunch of stuff that's closed is reopening. And they're like, well, nobody's talking about the IRA anymore. It's been half a year. And Rangers are more popular than ever these days.
Yeah.
Little Dragon guy shows up. Okay. I went back through this. This is something that we didn't talk about when we were chatting. This Little Dragon guy, what do you think he's doing? He knows a lot. There's multiple versions of him. So he's here to sort of give Green Battalion a mission to do. And like he says down there in the bottom right, he's like, you don't need to try to trick an ally. Like, I'm on your side. It's like, it's not like there's officially only one of Little Old Me. He's on screen. He's also there. He also says, he tries to be like, oh, you could be in Pink Battalion if you want to.
I think he meant you could be the new Pink Ranger if you want to.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you could be Pink is probably the Pink Ranger for
right.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like I think he's a little walkie-talkie for the leadership, whoever the big boss of this whole operation is, assuming it's not Yellow, Yeah,
I kind of see, because
it's like a Den Mushi kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I like that angle. Here in the middle of this page, he's like, it's our duty to exterminate even the slightest of inconveniences. The Rangers must not repeat past mistakes. And we're going to learn a lot about past mistakes in sort of going through more of this. This little dragon guy seems to know everything. Something tells me that he actually might be the big bad. I think that's my prediction here.
I think so too, because he knows everything.
He's controlling the Rangers, right? He's coming to the Rangers to give them a mission. He tells what's her name that like you could be Pink Ranger. That seems like he maybe just has the power to do that. So
he speaks with authority for sure. And he is in chapter 1, the one who saw D and got him quote unquote killed by the Red Ranger on that rooftop.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he has been in the story this whole time.
Yeah, and he shows up occasionally. He shows up like he follows a bunch of. I think he follows D as he's infiltrating one of the bases like a long, long time ago.
Yeah, it was the first chapter, I think, or the first few chapters.
Yeah, some of them are in the first few chapters. So yeah, if he isn't like just the big bad or the sort of like master over all of the Rangers or whatever, you're right. He's like a puppet or a mouthpiece for him. I'm not sure which it is. He also kind of strikes me as like. It's interesting they bring up Peltrola here, the what do they call him? The boss,
the bird guy.
Well,
the
yeah,
executive?
the executives. He strikes me as sort of manifested in the same way that the executives do, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm a small little cute thing, but I don't know. It just seems like a similar design choices between sort of like little bird guy, little dragon guy. Maybe, so I'm thinking maybe he's also an executive, but control of the Rangers, but maybe he rebelled against the other executives, and that's why the executives are trying to take the Rangers down, because this is, a rebel executive taking them down. I don't know. There's a lot here that's like, maybe, possibly, could be, who knows?
Well, all this shit was created in the first place, including the executives, for public entertainment, right? And the Rangers. So I have to assume, if I had to guess, right, speculate, that he's either a cell phone that the boss is talking out of, or a creation by whoever created him, presumably Yellow.
Yeah, definitely could be Yellow.
So I think titles like Invaders and Rangers, that they're all kind of fake. This is all manufactured. So I think probably he's just one level higher, and he's in the know of this whole production. If that makes sense. So he's not really associated with either. He's the showrunner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it, that he's just sort of running the whole show, potentially both sides.
Right.
I do wonder, so you mentioned that like, we sort of know that, and we learn more about this as we go through, and we learn about sort of Red and his backstory, which is kind of where we go next, right? We meet Green's wife and Green's wife, and then ex-actor Green's daughter. So this is not the daughter of our current Green Ranger, but this is the wife of the current. But I think that also might just be a play. Like, that might not be real. That might be sort of like a thing he was doing to protect her, potentially.
I think you're right, because why
it
would
reads to me like
she
that.
be in the slums if he is fine and still around, right?
Yeah.
And also we saw the little girl with her and Green, so it's quote unquote probably like a family play he's doing to keep them safe or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably just to keep them safe, potentially also to use her to get information or something. I mean, he is an information broker, right, current Green? So he might have just said, hey, you go here. She knows more about the world
than anyone.
Yeah, she does, because we'll get there. She wrote this thing called the Phantom Script, the Ghost Script, which is a big deal. It's name dropped like once, but I think it's a very big deal. We also meet sort of our secondary protagonist for this kind of early part for the next 5 or 6 chapters, which is this Red who has lost his memory, and is living with Green's wife and Green's daughter. This is okay. I'm trying to remember which Red is this. This is, I think, the Red from the 3-way battle that we thought got killed by an executive. Is that right?
Not quite. So this is the Red that Yellow, after the 3-way battle was finished and Red finished it.
That's right.
Red was on a bridge And Yellow said, "Hey, you're just a clone and you're acting out, so we're gonna replace you." And blew
Oh,
up the
yes, yes,
bridge
yes.
with him on it. And he fell into the
That's
ocean.
right. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly. I was like, I know this is the Red from the three-way battle. I couldn't remember how he got sort of like attacked and lost his memory. Okay, that makes sense. So he's kind of trying to figure out. He's like, well, I've lost my memory. He gets a couple of flashes. He chases these two guys down who turn out to be from the Neo Rangers, we learn. And we get a cool kind of thing of like, oh, all of his kind of physical capabilities still exist, and he can unlock them. He kind of does like a super teleport hit. His eyes kind of glow here.
And real quick context before this, I suppose it comes right after this, so we can go to the next page. Yeah, he still has his fighting capabilities, and he chats with this lady who he's come to like, including he's come to like this lady and her daughter, because they've taken him in and they're taking care of him, even though he's an amnesiac.
Yeah.
It turns out that this lady is the creator of the Rangers show, the Neo Rangers show.
Yeah.
And
we get there a little bit later after you meet the Neo Rangers and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to go there? Otherwise, I think this will take like 2 hours.
No, I mean we're almost there. Essentially, we do this. This Red Ranger clone meets the Neo Rangers, which includes the sort of super scarred Hibiki and all the people he gathered at the end of the three-way battle.
Yeah, he's all fucked up.
Yeah, but they're
like
very,
not just the face, like emotionally.
Yeah, he does this weird
destroyed.
like clown presentation thing. Yeah, he seems like way off his rocker. I was super curious about where Hibiki was going during all the time that he like wasn't present. My guess, I talk real briefly about Hibiki. I think Hibiki went and talked to certain people, maybe that knew about the history of the Rangers. I think he might be in the know on either what they are or the history of them or something, or maybe he just knows about what Yellow is doing, or I think he's got more knowledge than we do or than Dee does, right? That would be my guess.
I think so. We don't really see what he did between the beginning of the series and the three-way battle.
Yeah, very little. We see like a couple of glimpses of him, I think, looking for someone or something and talking to people, but I don't remember exactly what all that was. So they go with him. This girl on the right is going to be pretty important in a minute. The Neo Rangers take Red to be like, hey, we're going to use your face to scare the Slum King guy to tell us about some stuff. And then this girl on the right, who they call Kuroko, which is the note here is really interesting. So they call her Kuroko, which is a stagehand in Japanese theater who dresses in all black when they have to be on stage, translated as black suit. And this is something like I've done stage theater, and it's like, yeah, if you're a stagehand and you have to go and like move props while the curtain is up, you have to wear all black. You go on and move it. So she's essentially like black suit stagehand. So Kuroko is a designation. This is not her name because we're going to meet more Kurokos later on. But she escapes here. She drops a picture of, here it is. She drops a picture of Green's wife, and Red has this flashback here, this is where Red starts to get his memories back, which is interesting. He has like a sister, Soase is his name. He has a sister that he loves, and he sees like, an auditioning for Dragon Keeper. It's like, congratulations, Soase Akabane, starting today, you are. And it's like the Red Ranger, right? It's like, I am our Red Keeper. It's like, I'll never bow down. It's like and then I don't know, these pages are really great because it's like, he remembers that he's the Red Keeper, and Kuroko is like, damn, you failed product. So she knows that he's a clone, right?
Yeah, and all the stagehands we see are like assassins.
Yes, and are presumably also clones, because I think that one or two of them also look like this one that we meet here, this girl. I think later on we see that. But yeah, so again,
and I guess it makes sense. They're like moving props out of the way and making way for the story to continue in the way it's intended to. It's the same as like getting rid of unwanted variables in their story.
Exactly.
It's a cool thematic stage/assassin like similarity.
Oh yeah, metaphor. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't even catch on to that, but that is cool. They're manipulating the props behind the scenes while the lights are out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, we see that the Kuroko assassin girl has targeted Sanae, so Soase Red Keeper runs back, blah blah blah. And we get so this is where we start to learn about the history of Sanae, Green's wife. where Red Keeper's talking to her and says, if she was in a black hood, then she was a Kuroko, right? Like I mentioned, that's not her name. That's like a designation. They're a team that takes care of the inconvenient truths from the Rangers. Make perfect sense they'd be the ones coming for me. And Red is like, okay, why? But like, no, never mind. He's like, but since I knew it happened, I had time to get ready. More flashbacks from Red, which is good stuff. We see that he remembers Sanae from the past as a screenwriter, joining us as a sub-composer, which I think is more like a writing assistant or something. Yeah, and this is original Green, this long-haired guy sort of on the page on the right, who is the little girl's father. And yeah, he starts to remember. He's like, have I met you before? And Sanae keeps prodding. She's like, what do you remember? What do you remember? Filming started, everyone behind the scenes. First episode, blah, blah, blah. We were cheering in frustration. And then Sanae seems really excited that he's remembered, but then it's like, no, she fucking stabs him. Like, greatest anime betrayals of all time.
Right. They really are taking it out on this dude's clones, aren't they?
Yeah, no,
but he's a huge asshole, so I get it. But yeah, she stabs him, and then in the next page, he's like, no, totally makes sense, girl. Mm-hmm. Chase your bliss.
Yeah, he basically just like, oh, okay. He's like, I don't know who I was, but I guess if I ruined your life, if you say it, I trust you, I deserve it. Which I think is a good one. We get, what is this? It's undeniable that Dragon Keeper exploded in popularity thanks to the episode Rise for You that brought views. Oh yes, this is another flashback of Sanae. They're asking her to write the finale of the series. This is of the TV series, right? Which is, we assume, not related to any actual invaders or any real magic or anything. As far as we know, it's just a TV series. And then the next thing we get is that they arrested the original Red Keeper actor, who this guy's getting flashbacks of, who we're pretty sure he's still just a clone and not the original. Maybe he's the original. I think he's a clone.
This one I think is the original. The one in the flashback?
Well, in the flashback, yeah. I'm saying, do we think the one who just got stabbed is the original or a clone? I think he's a clone.
Oh, he's like the third clone.
Yeah, he's
he
at
already
least
killed clone. Yeah, like
D's killed two, I think, right? Or at least one.
D has killed one of them.
Yeah, at the zoo.
He is at the very least number 3 from what we know. So, yeah, but who knows how many there were? You know.
Yeah. And so they show that he gets arrested, but he then like shows up at their house and is like, I'm here to talk business, which we don't get to hear what the business he says is, I'm getting the Dragon Keepers back together in real life this time. So something tells me that the original Red was maybe related to the like real invaders coming and getting involved and making the Dragon Keepers a real thing, is from a TV show. I don't know. There's a lot.
Yellow might have talked him into it, or something like that. Said, "Hey, I can make this real." Clearly, he didn't get arrested for murder, but
or he murdered more people to get away, which is also possible.
That might be it, right? But it seems like he probably got away with it, but it ruined the show's reputation so bad that it was gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, and
there's a lot of information that's missing, so we can't really tell.
I think what happened in the timeline here is that Red Keeper gets arrested, and so they can't film like the show for that week, and then the show just ends, right? So this script that Sanae was writing, this finale never happens, but she wrote the script.
And this is like later, yeah.
Yeah, and this is like about to come up. Yeah, and we see sort of like it was a plan the devil himself came up with. Day after day, our dignity was trampled on. My husband couldn't bear the weight of those sins and chose death. Like, she basically says her ex-husband, the original Green actor, like killed himself or just left or something. Leaving before Momo and Gene was born. And yeah, this is the part that you're talking about with Red, where he's like, but from your point of view, I was a villain. That makes sense. They are sort of being carried away by this car. Car gets in a wreck. It's Kuroko, but also this is what's her name from Green, right? That's here on the top.
Hisui?
Yeah, Hisui's here. But this is like the only panel she shows up in of this whole thing.
I didn't notice that at all. You're right. That is so her.
Yeah, it's definitely Hisui, because it's also the chomping attack that she has with her teeth power.
Yeah, that is her. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, but this is, I think, in this chapter, like the only time she shows up. But she's like here when they get wrecked and the Kurokos are chasing after all of them. Yeah, because this is a Kuroko, or maybe the same one again.
So this might be a flash forward instead of in present time, because this is where Hisui currently is in the latest chapter.
Is this where
Like
Hisui
looking,
currently is? Oh, because they're
yeah,
in the.
looking for
Oh,
the
maybe you might be right. I didn't
yeah,
even think about that, but yeah, in the latest chapter, they go to the slums to search for the drug maker or whatever. So yeah, maybe this is gonna like line up. I guess yeah.
yeah,
Maybe the stuff with D is a quote unquote flashback is what we're saying. That's about to come up. But yeah.
yeah. Maybe we'll guess we'll see. It doesn't make sense for Hisui to be there otherwise. But
Yeah, I don't know. I
who
mean,
knows? Yeah,
with all the green information stuff, and I do think Hisui is not quite as in the know as Greenkeeper, but definitely his second in command for a reason. His first class. But yeah, so Kuriko takes Sanae away. They kill her? Question mark, or maybe mortally wound her. I don't know. But this is where Red
she
is
killed
like.
herself. She killed herself.
Do you really? You think? Because I thought that.
Yeah, it's what the person saying the top left.
Oh, she ended her life with revolution. Oh, yeah. I think, yeah, because again, I guess that means you weren't able to make her tell you. I remember now why it was that you guys were after her, the Phantom script, which this lines up with a bunch of stuff from the three-way battle that the super fan was talking about, right? The bad guy, I can't remember his name. The bad guy dad, the super fan, where he was saying like, oh, this episode, this happens, like talking with, I think he was fighting with Red Keeper when he was having that conversation. But yeah, they say like it was the work of her soul, which she considered a part of herself, and she protected it from you people with her life. So assumedly she is dead now, which is...
You remember that part in Spaceballs where they fast forwarded to see what they should do next in the movie?
Yeah.
They put the movie Spaceballs in and fast forward. I bet her Phantom script is probably just like the pre-destiny of what happens.
I wonder,
forward.
yeah. That's definitely, I think, the biggest question for me with all this stuff, and it sort of has been since we kind of learned that, like, oh, there was a past TV show that people is that are the Rangers trying to relive the past TV show? I feel like what happened maybe is that the Phantom script is like that they are trying to relive the past TV show because it brought them massive popularity, and if they feel like if they follow the script, they will still be massively popular. And the Phantom,
I think so.
And I think people read the Phantom script and said like, yeah, if magically, whatever, quote unquote, this is the most perfect ending. This will make the Dragon Keepers immortal and eternal and the most powerful, most popular things ever. And if they don't have it, they don't know how to do it. And so
I think it might be the reverse because they wanted to capture or kill her, right? Mm-hmm. I think the Phantom script. Okay, this is all speculation based on nothing, just having lived in the world. But I think the Phantom script will be something that the Rangers don't want. It's just a good, narratively satisfying ending or through line through the story and ending. Whereas they want this to be a cash cow that never ends.
Right. Yeah. That's another angle for sure.
Yeah.
Or it could be something that her ending is they all die, and if they knew about how they died, they could avoid it or something, because maybe it is a predestination thing. I don't know.
Yeah, very well could be.
Yeah. Then we get Red like absolutely pops off in this chapter and like brutally fucking murders like all like two. Yeah, this is like brutal. I like that the series is willing to go kind of this far. He's like, I'll have you know I'm great at anger management. He like kicks her in the chest, counts to 6. And it's like, see, that's 6 seconds. That means this isn't me getting swept up by anger at all. It's justice. And then he just kicks her through the chest into this thing, and it's like, that's awesome. Like, I like this Red is awesome.
This is
character.
a good Red. This so made me like Red because I like that after he regains his memories, he, instead of like being the person he was, like the nice dude he was when he had amnesia, he's just nuts again, but slightly nicer.
He's nuts, but he's
nuts.
Like, oh, but I met nice people and I understand. Like, he definitely...
I grew a little bit as a person, but I'm still nuts and egotistical.
It's like, right? I will still literally murder you if you cross me the wrong way, which he has shown, because this is, I think, the same one we saw in the that boardroom scene where he just like threatens, who is it? Like Pink second in command or Yellow?
He kills his...
Is that the one that dies at the zoo?
Yeah, that's the one that dies at the zoo.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But so technically this one might be his first murder. But he's still nuts.
Yeah, but we see so Momoji, the little girl, goes off with Red, which I think that is going to be interesting. So yeah, this is sort of the end of Red's little 6 or 7 chapter arc. It's like the Neo Rangers' influence eventually became big enough that the Rangers couldn't ignore them. They survived many attempts at sabotage and eventually came to be acknowledged as a proper second group of Rangers. That's very interesting to me. That they just drop that in at the end. That it's like, oh, the Neo Rangers are acknowledged as a proper second group of Rangers. We aren't there yet. I don't think that feels like a very much like. I'm almost wondering if we're going to get a little bit of stuff here and then like another like massive time skip, like maybe not massive, but like 5 or 10 years or something. I don't know.
I think it has to stay within the current, like not that much of a time skip because we'll have to know what D did during that amount of time.
Yeah. Well, I'm also just wondering about Momoji, right? About the little girl. Cause in my fantastical imagination here, what I'm imagining the sort of a big final revenge arc is like, well, Red is insane, but he trains Momoji up and she's like the anti-ranger killer, but she has to be like 16 or 18 for that to happen. And she's like 4 right now. So I don't know. That's what happened. That's what I'm seeing in my imagination. Yeah. I don't know, but
I think that's like too far of a skip just for one character. Like, because
probably,
too much needs to be explained.
Yeah.
With that said, we go back now to D, somehow the most well-adjusted character.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Actually, just like some totally normal stuff with him. He just like, I don't think I grabbed all the pages for it, but he just like goes to a hamburger shop and buys a hamburger and pays for it and like apologizes when he's being too loud and stuff.
And he got a Mjolnir leg.
Yeah, he has like this Mjolnir leg. Yakushi.
Angel's dad, the Mega Death Invader guy, gives him a new leg for the one he broke.
Yeah, so they have a discussion here, and Yakushi, the dad, he talks about like how, oh, do you remember in like season 4, episode 29, there's like a quick flash in the show that shows this gem inside the thing, and everyone is like, it showed a mysterious crystal behind all the foot soldiers, although it was obviously foreshadowing, it never ended up being revealed. So my guess is this is maybe potentially part of something that's in the Phantom script, maybe not, maybe it's just information. Again, it's weird that this showed up in the TV show, and it is also like true to real life, the real life, quote unquote, as we know it. That they showed something in the show, assumedly before the invaders were, quote unquote, were on Earth. That is now the invaders are here. This crystal, the core, right, the invader core. They show it which is like, again, I don't know if it's predestination, premonition, future sight, time travel. Who knows what could be going on here.
No idea what like the thread of fate of this story is, but there is one.
But it's interesting.
We just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I do love this page. This is like me when I read a new One Piece chapter. I'm like, the community's gonna love this.
yeah. I love that his first thought is just like, oh my god, like the forums are gonna pop off with this.
Yeah, exactly. What a good page.
Yeah, but
I love the Mega Death Invader guy. He's funny.
He's a really good bad guy. It's interesting. So he explains that the core, or D explains, I guess, that the core is the sort of like central. It's like the power behind the invaders. It's why they can reconstitute themselves, why they're immortal. And essentially, if the core is destroyed, they are no longer immortal, and they can't. So, I think Yakushi brings up that if all of the invaders stem from one single core, they might be like a group consciousness thing, which D kind of passes off and rebels against. I think that'll come back towards the end. I do think that D and all the other invaders will sort of combine into a big invader. That seems like a very Power Rangers thing to do, right? Like
I could see it. Like I could actually see that because he did say our fates are all tied together on one page.
Yeah, he also like knowing, like I grew up watching Power Rangers. One of the things that would happen is like 9 or 10 putties would like stack themselves up and they would be a big monster all of a sudden. Like that's just like a thing that happens. And we haven't really seen the foot soldiers do that in Ranger Reject yet. So, but yeah,
it feels like D might just like insert the core into himself or something like that.
That also could be true. I could definitely see something like that happening. But yeah, D teleports up to the Flying Fortress to go kind of like preach. This is just an awesome color page. I love Nikki's color page.
That is such
awesome.
Good
it's
page,
so good.
Yeah.
And it's got like D walking and like tearing the page with all these things in the back. Yeah, it's super good. It's just like, it shows something, which is that
God, what a lovable shithead. I love that.
he's so
Yeah.
good. But it shows that something that he talks about doing during the time he was trapped with Yakusho was like he trained, and the invader dad helped him train up and get stronger. Because in the past, D has not been a super good fighter. He's maybe like slightly better than average invader, but as they mention, I think in this chapter a little earlier, like any like low ranking ranger, hell, like a super strong normal person, like if you were like a weightlifter, they could probably beat an invader, right? Like or foot soldier. Like you guys are not strong. And he shows up and like absolutely like head to head bodies a couple of the like lower level rangers that are up here in the Flying Fortress.
And it wasn't even one of them was the first class. So like,
yeah, it was the
second.
previous first class of Red. Is that who it is? Who he fought really early on in the story? Isn't that who that was?
I was curious. Was that the poison guy they fought in like early on?
I think it was. I'd have to go back and look. Because I think it's like one of the first like big battles when he like steals Red's divine tool, right? Isn't that? I think that's the guy who he was fighting. I think
that was the panda guy. That the first guy he fought. Then there was a guy that him and Sakurama fought, who was the poison guy. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a new character who's also blonde, and I'm confusing them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way,
it's something like that. But yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. D says like, "How am I supposed to believe we're all a single living being?" And they're like, "Huh? I don't know. We don't know." He's like, "Sorry for the trouble. Endure it a little while longer." And he's like, "We all share the same fate. I'm going to free everyone." So, again, he still kind of has the same drive he had in chapter 1, which is consistent character stuff, which I like a lot. If you're brand new to Ranger and you're watching us discuss this is the good shit you're in for. It just gets better. This series is awesome.
Hopefully we haven't spoiled a bunch of shit for you, but
I mean, we have.
Maybe we have. D is like the best part of the series. He's great MC.
Easily maybe the best MC in manga right now. Like I can't
he's awesome.
Him and Akane from Akane Banashi I think are 1 and 2 for me.
They're very good.
Yeah.
But now we have the 2 best characters on screen. D and first class Hisui.
Yep. And so yeah, he goes back to Green. He says, "Can I have my job back?" And they're like, "You disappeared for over half a year," but they're like, "But you can have your job back." Green shows up and is like, "This is going to be plot important in the next like 2 chapters." I'm convinced. Green has paid like 10 years of his money, or like took a loan for 10 years of his money to get this like super old. They call it a decrepit car, but it's an antique. He calls it called Lust Road, which is awesome.
What a dork. I love it.
Yeah. It's like, you definitely can't buy something like this on Dragon Keeper salary. How many years will it take to pay off? And he's just like 10.
Bro, how much are they paying you? Like, I expected they'd be millionaires.
Antique cars are some of the most expensive things you can buy, especially if they're like in prime condition. Like I'm going to Google like, okay, like what does like
these guys are like Michael Jordan level celebrities, right? Like they're top of their field. But he did say the sponsor money dried up after like the scandal, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, something like that. I also wonder if, I don't know. But yeah, so they're going to pick up a divine tool for D, who just newly rejoined Green, and they're also discussing their mission, which they get to by the end of this chapter, which is that there's a drug called CHOP that has been circulating in the slums for the past year. It is an injectable drug, has the effect of eventually making your mind and body violently change, and you become an invader. This invader in the top right is the one that previously wrecked the car that Red and Sanae were in.
Oh.
I didn't want to grab too many panels. This is like 9 chapters, but this is the same guy.
We might be right that was a flash forward, because that explains Hisui being there and eating him.
Yes, it does also potentially. There's also, did I grab, because isn't the very first chapter of this Hisui in the, hold on, so many pages. No, maybe it's in the, maybe it's late. I don't know. There's a part where Hisui's being followed by the little girl, by Momoji, right? And she like,
oh yeah, she tells her to scram.
Yeah, that's in, I think, the first chapter after the time skip, isn't it? So I think...
Yeah, it's when she was talking to the little dragon. We were talking about the little dragon.
That's right, with the little dragon. Yeah, the little dragon stuff. So I think that Hisui was there at 2 separate times, but yeah, I don't know I don't know how
Well,
the stuff lines up. We'll see.
actually, no. I think we're right that this is a flash forward because Momoji was still in the slums, and her and Red hadn't left the slums yet. Which means her and Red haven't left the slums
well,
yet.
but that's the very first chapter after the time skip. So that if time is not messed up, that still lines up that Hisui would be around when all that stuff happened in the slums, and then she's coming back at the end here for the chop drug, right? Maybe. I don't know. It could go either way.
That makes sense because then she would have mentioned it, or she would have had motive to be there in some way. Narratively, I think it was just a flash forward because it makes sense that she's after that top left guy. And Momoji being in the slums wouldn't make sense if this was a straight line narratively.
No, it still does. It still does. So
not in my mind.
It still does because what would happen is in the first chapter, Hisui goes to the slums, sees Momoji. She's there because Momoji, Sanae, and Red Keeper are there, which we then get their story. So Hisui is in the slums with them.
Okay, yeah.
Their story goes forward. Car wrecks. Hisui is still around. Hisui follows them. Probably, you're right, looking for the drug guy. That ends, and then we pick up with D. Maybe later. Then they go back at the end. So maybe, I don't know. It could go either way. But
yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you said makes sense, but
it could. Still feels like it also could just be like, yeah, it could be a thing. It could be a thing where we meet up at the end and it ties together. So I'm not sure.
I guess we'll see.
But yeah, so they're looking for that drug. This is where they go and get D's new divine tool. And they mentioned that Suzukiri has been missing. They mentioned that a couple of chapters ago. In addition, okay, what was it? I think I grabbed that page. There's a page where they mention all of the sort of like missing people who aren't around anymore. It's on the first page, isn't it? It's on the first one. Oh no, here it is. So on top of second class Benny and one other from Red Battalion, junior first class Suzukiri from Yellow, one member from Blue, one of the leaders of the IRA, and one unidentified person reported by Pink Battalion are also all missing. So, most of these are part of the Neo Rangers. Suzuki is missing for some other reason. I assume because I think Yellow captured her. Didn't we see that?
No. She got away in the three-way battle.
Okay, so she's hiding or biding her time or something. Yeah.
Yeah, she vowed revenge and left in the three-way battle. I don't know what happened to the top right guy, D's rival, the browner skinned guy.
Yeah, he also could be part of Neo Rangers. He could also maybe be a Suzukiri. He could be.
I feel like he's too obstinate to be part of Neo Rangers.
Yeah, he might be reassigned, or maybe he's a
he's
black,
missing.
Maybe he's a black scarf or whatever they're called, the Kuro.
Yeah,
Kurosu.
I'm curious. Yeah, guess we'll see.
Yeah, so we get that. We get a nice Yellow is a great bad guy. I like Yellow a lot. He just kind of walks up behind them while they're talking, and she's like,
"Oh, I think he just uncloaks."
Is he stealth? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think he just uncloaks next to them because they're all surprised that he's there.
Yeah, they're all like, Yellow Keeper. Yeah, it's great. It's nice that they're sort of like, Yellow is sort of like, you better tell me as soon as you find out, Green. Like, I know that you're the info guy. He's like, I like this little exchange. It's like, for that car parked out front, great purchase, man. He's like, could it be that you have an eye for antiques?
I love that he is the villain. Like he's like one of the big bads, Yellow Keeper, that is, because he's just an affable dude. He's casual and conversational and fun, but he's also a terrible scumbag, right?
Yeah, I really like this page on the left. Again, Negi doesn't always flex his like paneling muscles, but when he does, I really like these panels just like slowly coming together. And I don't know, it's just like every once in a while he does these pages where I'm like, that's some of the coolest paneling I've ever seen. It's very simple.
And this is just like a kind of flexing that he is not remotely scared of Yellow.
Yeah, well, and also that he knows about he knows he knows about Suzukiri, and Yellow is like they're both
effective. Yeah, they're both effectively telling each other, "I know what you are."
Yeah,
right. They're both saying to each other, "I know exactly what you are."
Yeah, and because
is how it feels.
Yeah, it's like being harassed by your superior. It's like, that's not what happened. You can just like, Shoes our number 2. I was your only boss. He's like, I know, which is a very fun thing. We get a little lore dump here that says the 5 chains holding up the Sky Fortress are managed by each of the 5 battalions. For a foot soldier to fight the Dragon Keepers that fear, and they say that the the keys are held, like one key is held by the Dragon Keeper, one key is held by their junior first class, which is like their second in command.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the end of the chapters we've gotten. It's like the fight is between me and you guys. I won't involve the other foot soldiers. When the flying fortress is free, we'll have our final battle. Until then, might just all depend on your own determination.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep. I guess you got a little bit more.
So when he said, okay, page before this, yeah, I know. I expected it to end there when I read the chapter too. But he says, maybe I didn't have to bring my divine tool.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
So, okay, let's make a list of all the people who know that D is, or know that Hibiki is D. All of Green knows.
All of Green knows,
Green
including
knows,
Angel. We can count her.
Green knows. Angel knows. I'm fairly sure Yellow Keeper knows. I think that's what this is implying.
I'm almost positive.
I think this is implying. I think he was seen by a good number of people. I think that. I think original Hibiki knows Sakurama.
He definitely knows. Yeah, they were in on it.
Yeah. That's right. Because he was there when they like swapped faces. He's like, use my face. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So
yeah.
Sakurama definitely knows, which means that the Neo Rangers.
The Afro guy knows too.
Yes, the short little Afro guy who's mentioned in one of these chapters as being reassigned or trying to be reassigned. He goes back to being colorless, I think is what they say about him.
The Mega Death Invader, but he's dead.
Mega Death Invader is dead.
XX knows.
Yes, yeah. I also think that because Hibiki knows, it's possible that all of the Neo Rangers maybe know that if they see Sakurama, that it... maybe not, but they haven't crossed paths yet in a time where they would know. But it'll be interesting to see when we see the Neo Rangers if they know, like, oh yeah, that's the.
Hibiki has told them.
What is it? Go.
I don't think the real Hibiki has told them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's possible. I think that if we see,
it is possible.
I think if we see Green Battalion and the Neo Rangers cross paths, it's possible they might be like, oh, that's the Ranger who's a foot soldier. So. So this dragon gadget thing, this is interesting. This is maybe, I think, the last thing we'll go over. So when Green Battalion and D first get there, the guy's like, oh, your divine tool isn't ready. You take mine. And he's like, okay. And they are like, it's all good. This guy runs in and he's like, oh, I have the dragon gadget now. And they're like, he's like, you're too late. They left already. He's like, whatever. He's like, here, just give the guy who gave his away. He's like, here, just give me that one. And this new dude is like, no way. It'd be better for him to get a new one than your dirty hand-me-down. He's like, they must be close. I'll go to him directly. And the guy who we assume is like a yellow, scientist or whatever who gave away his is like, what a weird fella. And also, I've never seen him before. And he looks unique.
We've seen this character before.
We have?
Yeah, 100%.
Where did we see him?
We saw him in a chapter, I think, escorting them around some building. We saw him once before. I remember his design in his eyes.
Okay, I was going to say, because this is like an original design, and clearly this guy is up to the divine tool that he has created is up to something positive or negative for D. So,
right, exactly. He has been introduced. He was called Strange or something in the chapter he was introduced. But he didn't really do anything in that chapter. So totally understandable that you don't remember him. He didn't do anything.
This is,
up until this point.
This is one of those series. It's like, you got to read it twice. Like I'm going to have to do a reread after, like maybe even now to just be like solidify everything in my mind. Cause this is 9 we're talking about the content of 9 chapters with all this info in it, which is pretty crazy.
There's 9 chapters worth of stuff.
Yeah. But that's sort of the last thing that we saw. That was really interesting.
Actually.
Yeah.
What does Hisui mean when she says, I haven't forgotten what you said this morning? What did he say?
Man. So this is where it's like, oh, you should have grabbed all the things. That was when he asked to rejoin.
And he's like, yeah, I want to climb.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I want to be junior first class. I think that's probably.
Yeah. And he's just like, I'm just looking out for my thriving career. Okay. That's what he said that morning. Got it.
Yeah.
And he wants to be first class because he wants the key for the Green Battalion.
Right. It's easier for him to just like get the key by getting promoted than it is to try to fight Hisui and Green Keeper, which he also just doesn't want to do. So it's just like, if I get a promotion, I get the key.
As much as he cheekily says he wants to kill Green Keeper, he really doesn't. And
we've been shown that in the 3A battle for sure. Yeah.
For sure. And him and Hisui are like best friends. I think they are actually just best friends. So yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting. I mean, I think the path we're taking now, we have our MacGuffins of we're trying to release the floating fortress from the 5 the 5 Dragon Keeper fortresses or whatever on the ground.
Yeah, gather the 5 keys.
The 10
or
keys.
the 10 keys.
Yeah, the 10 keys for the 5 locks to unlock the 5 chains to unleash the Sky Fortress. Once the Sky Fortress is free, D has told us, okay, we'll get our final battle up there, right? He tells the people in the fortress, I think, are Red Keepers.
Right.
That. So yeah, so that's we went through that at a good clip. That's everything that's going on in Ranger, which is insane.
That was a good time. Yeah.
There's so much going on here. And yeah, this is really something that it's every time I'm looking to like start new manga, I'm like, okay, is it reject reread time?
Well, you know what, guys? Don't give up at the parking lot war.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's like a decent arc, but it is the weakest of the Ranger arcs. So if you're getting bored there.
Yeah, for sure. Don't give up. I also think the anime is going to improve that. We talked about that even when it was being published. I was like, if they do this in anime, it's going to be way easier to tell who's who with like different colors and characters and voices.
And they can pace it better. They can do it in like 5 episodes.
Well, and remember, we talked about that. Arc being like, it would be like 1 or 2 bad chapters, then a really good chapter, and then 1 bad, and then 1 good. And I feel like that if you're combining 2 or 3 chapters into an episode, that it's like, okay, if the first half of an episode is chill and the second half is good, that's still a good episode. Like, so
yeah,
I think the anime.
I think it's because it felt like 9 months we spent in a parking garage, whereas it'll feel like an hour tops in the anime, right?
Yeah, I mean, that arc was like 20 or 30 chapters. So
right.
That's like chapter like 25 to 55 or something, I think, or maybe even a little more. No, it's something like that. But anyway,
we thought Ranger was pretty good at the time and it had potential. Yeah. And we were right. It spiked as soon as that arc ended in quality. It just shot.
Because right after that arc, he gets assigned to Green and they go and do the Dream thing, right? Which is where Hisui,
the best characters. Yeah. What amazing arc,
and they're like repeating the dream, the dream school or whatever, where it's like, oh, break the rules, it gets reset. Which was like a super good arc.
That was really good. Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything else on Ranger? Anything else to discuss here?
No, it's just a really, really fucking good series.
Yeah, just
so awesome. Go
and it just keeps getting better. Like, it's dropping answers and questions at the same time, which is excellent.
I don't think me and Bruce speculate this much about series outside of One Piece. Yeah, it's just this and Ranger, I think.
Yeah, Ranger and One Piece are easily the most fun things to speculate about what's coming, because nothing else is even close. Cool. A couple of news things. Let's move on. Let's see. By the time you're listening to this, Shadow Eliminators by Kento Amamiya has ended on April 21st. That's this Sunday, upcoming Sunday. We're recording before Sunday. This one sucked, and it got less than 19 chapters. This is a U19, as the people on Twitter like to call it. The most disappointing thing for me on this one was that I read the one-shot, and I thought the one-shot was pretty okay, and the chapter 1 was worse than the one-shot, and it was the same story. Is that an editor problem? I don't know.
It's impossible to tell without like seeing the process a little bit more, but I don't know. I have no opinion on this because I didn't read the one shot or the series. It's just a name that has disappeared from a roster.
So this came up. I mean, we talked about it 19 weeks ago, I guess, or 20 weeks ago. It was not very good. I never saw anyone on Twitter talking about it. Reddit discussions were small. This one was.
I guess it just flew under the radar then and kind of died quietly. Somewhere.
I think it's just gonna come and go quietly, unfortunately.
That's too bad. Well, I guess it's too bad if it was pretty good. I don't know.
It was not good. So it was
okay. Got it.
A Frieren inspired escape room was announced. That seems interesting and fun. I'm guessing that there will be a point where you have to get inside of a chompy mimic chest. That's
and it takes 150 years to escape the room.
Yeah, there you go. I thought that was a fun little thing. I always like when there's weird crossovers with manga or anime. Kagurabachi, speaking of other stuff in Weekly Shonen Jump, Kagurabachi is getting 2 consecutive color pages. I think Kagurabachi is solidifying itself as it's definitely going to stick around. I don't think it's being cut. It's not perfect or exceptional. I am reading this week to week, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's pretty good. It is some standard shonen stuff, but it reads to me, it's essentially Katana Batman takes on magic people. And that tickles me in just the right way for an action shonen. So I think Kagurabachi is pretty decent. It's not perfect, but it's like good, solid, 7. So
Fair enough. Keep reading it.
yeah, happy that it's sticking around. We have on April 30th, which is not this upcoming Sunday, but the next one. Is that right? I don't know why it says April 30th. That is not. Oh, maybe that's the Jump issue 21. Yeah, it's out April 30th in Japan. So this is from the Phantom Seer creator duo Goto Togo and Matsura Kento. They're coming back for a new dark fantasy one-shot that is called Kamen Kitan Theo. So that'll be our next new thing. Not this week, but next week.
Is this fantasy? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kamen. So that's the one that we're getting on Sunday, which we'll be talking about next week. That is called Kyokuto Necromance. That's by Fusai Naba. That is the previous author of Aliens Area.
Okay.
So those are our next 2 episodes. Our Kyokuto Necromance will be the big things, awesome. And then Phantom Seer. Yeah. And we got a trailer for Look Back anime movie, which looks amazing. Looks really good.
Yeah, we have to see that in theaters, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping that we also do get a what's his other one shot called? Goodbye Eri. I think Goodbye Eri would make a great little 70-minute movie that would literally blow people's minds. Haha, wink, wink, no spoilers.
They're both going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I think that's about it. Gautam, tell me what you've been doing in your free time here.
I've been playing TFT. I get addicted to TFT, degenerately so. And I'd say I'm like the least addicted this time around.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because the set is probably the worst one I've played, but it's still very fun because TFT is a very good game. Yeah,
I like TFT. Yeah. This one, I have some fun with it. I don't find the actual groupings, I don't know, traits. The actual traits and characters are a little bit less interesting than the last season or 2. So
the theme isn't that great either. It's not as strong as like the music theme that they had last time, right?
Yeah, well,
it's hard to follow that up though.
The thing about TFT, and this is funny, if you go and look at like every set they do, every set is either fantasy or sci-fi future. And it's like, sometimes it's like every single set this is a fantasy one. The last one was a little bit sci-fi future. The next one will probably be.
This one's like a Chinese Warring Kingdoms one, right?
It's a little bit more, Inkborn Fables. It's more like story weavers are one of them. So there's like storytelling stuff in there.
Got it.
But it's just fantasy. It's okay. I think they have finally hit on a good. What are the 3 things you choose throughout the game where you get 3 choices? What are those called?
Augments.
The augments. I think that augments are finally in like a good place. I really like the augments now, whereas previous, sometimes I felt like there wasn't a good choice or that they were all lame. I think augments are in a good spot. I just think this set in general is not as good.
Yeah, I think there aren't low lows, but there aren't high highs.
Yeah,
so
I
never get that moment this set where I'm like, hell yeah. I really fucking pulled it out, pulled it off. That was a crazy game. Like, I never feel that way. I feel like, okay, nice.
Yeah, I also think they fixed all the item stuff. Like a lot of the stuff where it was like, this item is super bad and you never want it, or this thing is like, they've eliminated a lot of the like, this stuff is awful. Like they brought up the floor, but not super interesting. So it's a good one, but I'm playing it a lot less than the last one.
Right. It's weird because the game is amazing. And this is still a really good set, but in comparison to the sets that they released themselves, it's like they're their own competition.
Yeah.
It is still better than other auto battlers on the market, but it is worse than their previous showings.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, well, not a bad problem with that.
Yep. Still a great game. Still like it.
What about you, Bruce?
I have been reading Heavenly Delusion by Masakazu Ishiguro. This is one that got an anime. I don't know how much the anime adapted. I assume not all of it because it's a pretty, it's like a monthly double length or maybe bi-weekly double length series. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. This shit is wild, insane, really weird, very mature and adult. I don't know where it's going, but I am enjoying it. Really good character stuff. Really, really good character stuff. Really interesting kind of sci-fi twisty story, but also kind of very grounded and not grounded. I have no idea where where it's going. I don't know how I can't really make a decision, I don't think, until I get there, but enjoying reading it. Hopefully finish that the next day or two. Really, really good.
Is the chick highly competent and the dude is a bumbling doofus?
Kind of at first, but they get out of that pretty quick.
Okay,
They
cool.
both have competencies and lack of competencies, and there's also a lot of other. There's kind of a whole secondary storyline that is either in the past or the future or happening simultaneously, or I don't know. That's kind of a lot of the twist stuff that I'm trying to figure out right now, but it's I can feel it sort of bubbling up, coming to a head soon. So I think it's really good. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm interested to see if I don't know how much the anime adapted, if they did like a full adaptation and cut stuff out, or if they just did part of it or what. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying
This
it.
is like
It's
a
good.
post-apocalyptic battle series.
It's not really a battle thing. It's a post-apocalyptic, like, I don't know,
Survival.
it's kind of survival, kind of just character journey type thing.
Okay,
There's like
that's cool too.
some fights in it, but so I'm like, they're like double length chapters, right? So they're like 30 to 35 pages. I'm like 41 chapters out of 66 or something in, and there's been like maybe 4 fights in the whole thing, like 4 like action battle fights. So not that often.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but some really adult stuff in it, some really weird sci-fi kind of post-apocalyptic stuff in it. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it ends. I think if it sticks to the ending, I'll review it
Is
pretty
it
well. It is complete, I believe, because this is the author. This is the author who does the what am I thinking?
I don't know.
They just started the new series. Is this it? They just started a new series, I thought, but oh, maybe not. Is this just like not listed in here? Um,
Oh,
I don't know. I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I don't know. I thought the Heavenly Delusion author had a new thing out, but maybe not. Anyways, it's really good.
yeah. I don't really recognize any of these, but aside from Heavenly Delusion, which we just talked about,
Yeah,
yeah. So this might be their first like thing that maybe hit the West.
this is their big thing. Yeah, I think definitely because of the anime adaptation. Which people apparently episode 1 of that is like, I can see why it's surprising, because the chapter 1 and 2 kind of tell 2 different stories, and you're like, whoa, this is way different. It's not just like I was describing, like, it's not just these 2 trying to survive in post-apocalyptic world. There is a sort of secondary storyline going alongside it that provides more mysteries that tie in or don't tie in. So yeah, it's a good one. I'm excited to keep reading it, and I'll probably next week I'll have an update on what I thought about the full
Yeah,
series.
let us know.
So cool. I think that's it. I think we're all good
Sounds
to go
like that's
now.
it.
Hey, thank you again for listening or watching, everyone. Don't forget to leave us feedback, give us a comment, upvote, thumbs up, check out Twitter, give us a follow, click the bell, click all those things, click as many things as you can, open up 9 tabs to check us out. Tell your friends about us, tweet at me, tweet at us. Thank you for being with us again this week, and hey, adios.
And tell us about that episode of Pokemon where Ash pilots a furry blue Pokemon.
Yes,
That's
it's
what he's
real.
talking
I
about.
swear it's real.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
All right, and don't forget to read more manga.